In today's episode, we are absolutely excited to welcome Dennis Berry. Dennis is CEO of Epic Entrepreneur Media and a top voice in entrepreneurship. Dennis is a business strategist, LinkedIn coach, and influential speaker who has dedicated his career to helping entrepreneurs build profitable, resilient businesses. And I love the word resilient, but let's talk about this later. With a journey that began in sales leadership and evolved into building multi-million-dollar ventures, Dennis brings a wealth of experience in scaling companies and transforming ideas into thriving enterprises. Known for his expertise in business strategy and brand building on LinkedIn, Dennis grew his following from 1,500 followers to over 100,000 followers within a year. And I don't know how he did this. I would like to ask him this question.
Right now. Yeah.
Dennis has coached countless professionals on leveraging LinkedIn to generate meaningful connections and revenue. In this interview, Dennis will share his insights on mastering business growth, building influence, and achieving life and business mastery. Prepare for an engaging conversation with practical strategies to elevate your entrepreneurial journey. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Hello, Mark. Thank you so much. I love talking with you. Beautiful intro. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. And I'm excited to have a great chat. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you very much for being here. Dennis, let's start, please, with your own personal journey. Before we talk about LinkedIn and how we moved from 1,000 followers to 100,000 followers, and I'm the first one to put up my hand and say, how did you do that? I want to learn, how did you do that? Let's please hear more about the person, the human being, Dennis, the man.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's my story really starts with, you know what? I'll go way back. When I was 5 years old, my grandmother said to my mother, "He worries like a little old man."
Mm-hmm.
When I was 5 years old, I was already full of all the fear, insecurity, worry, the stress and anxiety, and I didn't know how to manage it. Now, most 5-year-olds don't. So, but I went into my head, and then fast forward to 15 years old, 10 years later, I took my first drink, and I was like, there was like this relief that I didn't have to feel that way anymore. And so I spent the next 15, 16 years numbing myself out with drugs and alcohol. And I used to be a downhill ski racer, lived in mountain towns. I was a classically trained French chef, and I led that kind of lifestyle: skier, chef, bars, girls, parties, like all that type of stuff. And then at 31 years old, I almost died over and over again of drug overdoses and everything. And so I've been sober. Fast forward now, I'm 52 years old. I've been sober for 21 years. And
Wow.
I tell that because that's a huge part of my story. My life didn't really start, the good part of it that we're going to talk about today, until I was 31 years old. So if you're wondering if you wasted time and you missed out on life, you didn't. The best years of your life lie ahead of you if you use them the right way.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations, first of all, and before anything.
Thank you. Yeah, and so, that's a big part of my journey, and I like to share that because so many people feel like they're lost or that they wasted so much time. And I'll tell a story. It was about, I guess it was 4 years into my sobriety. I was 35 years old, and I was crying one day to my sister, who was younger than me, and I was like, "Oh, I wasted so much time," and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, "You still have 65 years left. No time wasted." And so I decided to take on that attitude and apply that wisdom into my life, and I lived that way. So I decided to take care of my health. When I stopped drinking, I was 240 pounds. I think it's about 110 kilos if I do the math right, something like that. And now every now and then I still eat my chocolate. I don't drink anymore, and so I'm not perfect, but I'm in the 170s all the time, 175. And I built the life that I always wanted to, and anybody can. I traded my skis for scuba gear. I live on the beach in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. I've lived in the last 4.5 years. I've lived in Tahiti and Valencia in Spain, here in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And I run my business that I grew from LinkedIn, from monetizing my personal brand. And I teach other people how to live the same life that I have. And that's what I do. And that's what got me here. That's the 30-second version of a 52-year long story.
Yes, that's an amazing, amazing journey. First of all, as I said, congratulations. I'm the first to say I'm really proud of you and I'm proud of what you have achieved. And if there is anything in your message, it's first of all for me and for every single person out there who is having some issues with any substances. This is a message of hope that you're not lost. You still have some hope. Look, others have done it, and here is a wonderful living example before you.
Yes,
So
and
thank you
please.
very much for sharing this.
Yeah, and something I like to say is like I do a post on it every 6 months. So if you run through my feed, you'll be able to see a post. On April 8th is my sobriety day, 2003, and on October 8th, because that's 6 months. So I do it every 6 months in a year on my sobriety. And in the end, I say, look, the best way, everybody always struggles with the best way to do things, the best way to fix your relationship or to find love, the best way to fix your health, the best way to build a business, the best way to do this is that and that is to ask for help. If you're struggling in any area, ask for help. And if you can't find somebody to help you, reach out to me and I'll help you. Part of
That's
my
very, very kind of you. That's really very kind of you.
Yeah, something I learned early on in sobriety is that it's that I'm selfish. We all are. You know, it's human nature. We have to take care of ourselves, but we take it a little further, and we're always looking out for ourselves. And the best way to get where you want to go is to help other people get where they need to go. And,
Absolutely, I
and
100% agree.
yeah, and so if you're struggling to get sober or and you can't find help, reach out. I can give you a few things to do that might help you have better success.
Dennis, before we go into the deep questions that I have prepared for this interview, what would you say to somebody who refuses to admit that he or she has something and they need help? Somebody who just cannot admit that, yes, I need help.
Yeah, well, right. Well, the first step really is, and I used to do AA a lot, but I haven't for over 5 years. But but I did a lot of addiction recovery counseling and also alcoholism, codependency, working with teens. I also raised a boy with autism, real autism, not just a little on the spectrum. I spent 9 years wiping his butt and teaching him how to talk and taking him to therapy, and so I understand human psychology quite well. And the first step in healing from anywhere is admitting that there's some sort of problem. So, I have so many people reach out to me and say, can you help my brother, uncle, father, wife, dad, or whatever? And the answer is like, it's really hard. Sometimes we need to hit the wall, hit the bottom. I can always plant seeds, but we can't really make radical changes in any area of our life until we admit that we need to make radical changes in every area of our life.
Yes, sir.
So what I say is, if you're struggling, if you're not sure, we used to talk about this in AA all the time years ago, was if you have a problem with drinking, stop drinking. And if you can't stay stopped, then ask somebody for help.
Yes. Yes. What makes some people not want to ask for help? Why is it so difficult for some to admit that they need some help?
Well, because we're taught that we need to be independent, and also conditioning. Here's the thing, and this is in every area of our lives, we don't like change. So, when we're born, the doctor pulls us out of this warm, cozy place where we come from our mom's belly, slaps us on the ass, and then we start crying. And we're like, there's this big, scary world, and then we start crawling and we bang our head into the wall, and then we learn how to not do that. And then we try to walk and we fall down. We learn how to not do that. And we go all through these stages of life and we learn how to get comfortable. So it's really our pursuit of comfort that causes all of our problems. And once we get to areas of comfort, we don't want to change because we don't want to bang our head in the wall. We don't want to fall down anymore. We don't want to make mistakes or fail or be judged by people we love or that love us or friends or even nowadays people we don't even know. We
Yes.
we don't want to be judged by people we don't even know on social media.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't want to change. So the sad truth is that nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you really want change, if you're tired of being broke and your business isn't working or you have a crappy relationship, you can't lose weight, ask for help. And you'll get there faster. I remember, I'm 52, that we didn't always have Google Maps and Waze. It was like we had to stop and ask directions. And there was always the stereotype joke that men don't like to stop and ask for directions. I always stopped and asked for directions. I was like, I would rather sound stupid for 3 minutes and get there in 5 or 10 minutes than drive around for 2 hours like an idiot trying to figure it out. And I still make mistakes. Like I'm relatively successful, but I still make mistakes. I was talking about this morning with a client, actually. We were talking, I was like, I have a lot of this LinkedIn online business stuff figured out, a lot of it. I do pretty well. But I still wake up some mornings and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that for 2 years. Like 2 years. I'm like, oh my God, I made this mistake for 2 years. And I teach people how to do this for a living. So none of us is immune to making mistakes or failing. The biggest mistake in the world is to not know how to do something.
Yes.
And lay at home drowning in alcohol or fast food or Netflix or porn or whatever to take you out of feeling that discomfort, when all you have to do is ask somebody for help and you'll get where you want to go.
Absolutely.
It's a riddle of the ages,
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Go ahead, please continue.
No, I mean, that's the riddle of the ages. It's like, why a lot of it for men is conditioning. It's like we're supposed to know. We're supposed to know these things, and if we don't, we're stupid. The cool thing is, like, here's something else. For those people that are truly paralyzed and afraid to ask for help, you don't even have to talk to anybody. Now there's ChatGPT and Claude.
Yes. Yes.
Like, if you're really stuck and you really want to get somewhere and you're not getting there, it's your fault.
Yes.
People don't like that. All you have to do is ask ChatGPT or Claude. Claude is great because what it does is it's really validated information. It's validated information that, like, there's this new thing that's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, like, everything that we need to know, literally everything, you don't even need to go to college anymore. Like, asking for help and the access to information you need you don't even need to contact anybody. You could still be a huge success. Like, you can add the Claude shoots out validated information. Google, like, there's this, what is it called? Zero click. Have you heard of zero click?
No, please tell me about it.
Yeah, so that's what's coming. And this is a harsh message that everybody needs to tune into now. Everybody talks about your personal brand. I'm kind of bleeding into business a little bit now, but is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Zero click is what we're about to experience. So if we go back 25 or whatever years ago, there was this thing called the internet.
Yes.
And these two guys were like, well, people need to get around this internet thing. So they created a search engine called Google. And then they were like, well, we need to find a way to organize all this information. So they said, all right, if a website is up and they have keywords, they would be on the home page. But there was only like a few thousand websites. And because you had keywords, you had traffic. And because you had traffic, they kept you on the home page because you had keywords and traffic. But now there's billions of websites, literally billions of websites. So in order to rank on the home page, you need to do SEO. And SEO, search engine optimization, you told me not to use
yes, yeah.
word. So
Yes.
SEO, now Google uses literally hundreds of metrics that they use in order to rank you on the home page. And we have a joke in marketing back in the day called, "Where do you hide a dead body?" on page 2 of a Google search.
Yes.
Because nobody looks on page 2 of a Google search.
Yes. Yes.
Ever. So what they did was they created the maps. And you'll notice, like, if you search for like restaurant near me or
Yes.
electrician near me or whatever, whoever is doing a good job of SEO and is in the vicinity of your device is the one who shows up. So it gives everybody in the world a chance to be on the home page of a Google search.
Yes.
So it was brilliant. But now we thought Google was immune to any technology, like they were the top of the chain. And now there's ChatGPT and people are using Google less. So now there's going to be what it's called, they're calling it zero click, where people aren't even going to use Google anymore, or at least not search on Google. Like, you thought we had a short attention span before. People don't even want to scroll anymore. Nobody wants to see 10 answers to their question and choose one. They just want the answer. So all that SEO that we've been doing. So what I'm trying to get to the point here is that the most important thing that we all need, all of us, is a strong personal brand. Because that's all. Yeah. Otherwise, if you don't have a strong personal brand, which is like what I've been working on the last few years, is building as big of an audience as possible. So once they take away, if they take away my social media, I still have an audience. If they take away my ability to be seen on search engines, I still have an audience, and I have people that know, like, and trust me, and I have authority on some of these websites. So all of our investment, most people, they call themselves an online business, but most online businesses make less than $1,000 a month. It's more of a hobby.
Yes.
And the reason is because 10 years ago, you can just start a business. You can say, I'm a coach, I'm an author, best-selling author, I'm a speaker, I do this, I do that, and you were successful. They were successful because there was no competition, and there was no ChatGPT. And now there's 3 billion extra people on the line, and we're a dime a dozen, all of us. And so if you don't have a good brand, if you don't have an audience, you're really going to struggle to get one using. And what's funny is I say using ancient methods like SEO. Now, you still need to do the SEO, but it doesn't have the same impact. It's not going to have the same impact as it does right now. I'm sure something's going to come along and make it important and keep it in the game. But what I'm saying is your personal brand needs to be the most important thing that we work on, all of us. Because most people build their product or service first. And this is the biggest mistake they make. They sink thousands of dollars into it and so much time to put out a product that they don't even test. And now they have debt and stress and anxiety, and they're like, buy my stuff. But they don't have anybody that knows them, and nobody buys their stuff. And so they struggle. So what really needs to happen is you need to build your audience first, and then you can sell stuff.
Dennis, this is an amazing discussion. And honestly, as you're speaking, like, questions are coming to me almost on every single sentence. And just to go back to what you said about personal branding, let me share with you what I hear from some people. A lot of people that I talk to say they don't feel they are ready for all the potential abuse on the internet. All the insults, all the undue, all the criticism, which very, very, very often has no foundation whatsoever. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, like, I get all kinds of messages. I get all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't pay attention to any of it. I mean, you're never going to not have that. That's like sitting at home, oh my God, somebody's not going to like me. I'm going to sit at home and eat processed food and get drunk. Well, I worry about that. I mean, what do I say about that? Is like, we have to develop a hard skin, and get over it. And and just be yourself. Here's the thing: is like, when you're being yourself, it took me a little time to grow into to have everything I do and say line up with who I am. I mean, if you're living by your values, first of all, what are your values? I always start my clients with 2 exercises. The first one is you have to write a business plan, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to do it. The second thing is a vision plan. It's the same thing as a business plan, but for your life. What are my visions? What am I doing? What is my why? I know we hear this all the time, but really clarify it. You need to crystallize, what is my why? Do you want money? I mean, all that stuff is great. And money is great too. Like, people are like, money is the root of all evil. That comes from the Bible, and that's not what the Bible says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. So if you put money before your health and relationships and everything like that, you're going to lose your health and relationships. You might get your money, but that's the evil part. But money is amazing. It doesn't necessarily buy happiness, but it buys freedom. And it buys, that freedom is priceless. So anyway, one of the exercises in the vision plan is to write down your values. And it's like, define what your values are, whatever those might be to you. Integrity, honesty, service, those are some of mine. And then just start living that way. And when you live that way, there's nothing anybody can say or do to you that can hurt you. It's like a force field. It's like a shield that keeps you safe from those types of criticisms or any type of fear you have. But when you're being yourself, here's the thing. And write this down. Like, anybody who's listening, like, write this stuff down. It's like, when you're being yourself, not everybody's gonna like you.
True.
But the right people are gonna love you. And those are your people. And I would say you want to find as many of those as possible. And there's 5 billion active monthly social media users. 5 billion. So if you can't find it and build an audience based on your values and who you really are, then you're just not working hard enough. Yeah, I had a meeting yesterday. Like, I send out tough love. I'm a coach. I've been doing this a long time. I started coaching almost 20 years ago, that alcoholism and addiction, and I had to be tough. Some of my clients died. They kept going out and getting drunk and using drugs, and they need hard love, and everybody does. I do too. And I was talking to somebody this morning, and she's like, I'm not making money. I need more clients. I need more of this. And I'm like, how many meetings do you have every day? And she's like, 1 or 2. And I was like, have 6? Like, make 6 meetings a day. Whatever service you have, like, if you're a coach and you know how to be a coach and sell services, you probably have some sort of high ticket item, which is like $3,000, $5,000, something like that. And if you're broke and you actually have an expertise, and if you're calling yourself a coach, hopefully you do. It doesn't matter what it is. I do business because I know business. I know addiction recovery. Those are my sweet spots. But health coach, success coach, career coach, executive coach, leadership coach, whatever you are, and you have a product or a service, a $5,000 thing, if you talk to 6 people a day, if you set up 6 meetings a day, every day, 5 days a week, without fail, average, if you're having 30 meetings a week in 3 months, you're going to have most of your financial problems gone.
Wow.
Most of them will go away. And now you'll have working capital that you can reinvest in your business. I mean, I'll tell you this, check this out. And I don't tell you this to brag or anything else, or I just telling you to make a point. It costs money to make money. Or I should rephrase that. It costs resources, either time or resources,
Yes.
to make money. But money comes at a cost. And people don't think that. They think if I have money, then everything will be better. But money comes at a cost. Last week, I brought in almost $30,000. It was like $29,000 last week.
Wow.
But that money cost me about $10,000.
Yes.
Between my team, I have a team of a lot. I have a big team that does Dennis in the background, but there's that. There's membership fees, monthly fees, taxes, all these other things that go into that. I didn't make $30,000 last week. I brought in $30,000 last week. Now I do pretty well, but people have a misconception. They're waiting at home for all this magical stuff to happen, but there's a cost to money. Money costs money, you know. So it's really important to understand that, you know. And I did a lot of sales in my past, and there was always, I always use lawyers as an example because I used to sell to a lot of lawyers, and I did a lot of marketing. I used to sell marketing services, and that's how I learned sales and marketing. And but people don't understand that there's a customer acquisition cost. I was going to use another 3 letters, but I didn't want to. You yelled at me about that earlier. So there's a CAC, a customer acquisition cost, and that cost is really important to know. And the way we figure it out is we have to figure out the LTV, the lifetime value of our clients' clients.
Yes.
So the reason I like to use a lawyer, I'm going to tie this into what I just told you about me. The reason that we used to go after personal injury attorneys, and the reason is because they spend 6 figures a month on digital marketing. The reason they do that is because we were talking about pay-per-clicks earlier. So whenever you do, like, if you get in an accident and you need to call a lawyer, this is all like moment-to-moment stuff, right? I'm getting on the phone, the cops are here, my neck hurts, I want to make $1 million. I'm going to call the first personal injury attorney I see. So they're paying $1,000 a click to be on a Google paid ad search. So when somebody's sitting there with their whiplash and they want to make money, they're going to say, personal injury attorney near me. And that click costs like $1,000. And you're in competition with these other lawyers. And so they're running $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 a month in paid ads. And the reason is because one case can make them $5 or $10 million. So if you had a chance to make $10 million, would you pay $500,000 for that client?
Yes, of course.
Hell yeah. Yeah, if you can make $1 million, would you pay $500,000 for that client?
Yeah.
Of course. I would pay $500,000 for a $600,000 client, right?
Yeah.
That's $100,000. So I tell that example so people understand money comes at a cost. So like last week, I signed on $30,000, but that cost me like 30% of that. So it's important to understand these things.
Absolutely. Let's go to the questions that I've prepared, and that for me are the core of the discussion today. But thank you very much for this amazing introduction. How did your transition from sales leadership to entrepreneurship shape your approach to business growth?
So that's a great question. And you know how we always joke about success is not linear? It's more like, I always say it's more like spaghetti, right? It's all over the place. So, I started out in my 20s when I was a crazy party guy. I was a chef. I worked in restaurants. I did learn a lot about business because I was part of opening restaurants, and I did all that stuff, food costs, labor, all that. Like, I did learn a lot there. But then my first adult job out of the kitchen restaurant industry was I worked for Cisco Food Service selling food to restaurants. And I wasn't in management yet at that point. But I did learn sales, and I learned human sales behavior, sales psychology. And then that was at the end of my drinking too. So it was kind of a mess. Then when I got sober, I started a couple businesses. I was like, I just don't like working for people. That's one of my problems. So I started I'm kind of telling you my entrepreneur, how I got to where I am today.
Yes.
So it's definitely not linear. I started a candle making company. I was a personal trainer. I had a catering company. I was doing all these things, but because I didn't really understand how to run and build and scale a business, I was failing. I had a mortgage I couldn't afford, and I had a credit card debt. So I started selling coins on the internet, rare coins, gold coins, silver coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, anything I can get my hands on. But I was broke. So what happened was, gold at the time, this was like 2005, was still like 500 or so dollars, $700 an ounce, and which of course I couldn't afford. So I started buying silver. It was only like $5 an ounce, and I was like, that's way too low. And so I started buying up silver. I was putting it on credit cards, and I was learning about commodities and gold and silver and stuff. And then that business took off. I borrowed 20,000 from my brother to buy an inventory, so I can scale my business up. And that's how I learned how to run a business. Is I was selling within like 6 months. I was selling about $300,000 a month, and on the internet. And so that was over $3 million a year with a very high profit margin. And yes, and it kind of took off. And that's how I learned how to run a business. I had to hire people. I was learning about e-commerce, websites, shipping, like everything that goes into building and scaling a business. The problem was, afterwards, I got out of that business, and I started my own, another one, on my own, and but I couldn't get the same amount of traffic or volume as I did because my old business was mostly on eBay, and that's where I did most of my business. And you don't have to learn marketing because it's eBay. There's 100 million people using eBay.
Yes.
And so what happened was I started getting I got a job at a marketing company so I can learn marketing. And that's how I transitioned into the corporate world there. And that's where I was leading people there. And that's where I learned about leadership and marketing by doing sales. And then eventually all this time I was coaching people and for addiction recovery and sobriety. And that business was going really well. But what happened was I was helping people get sober and change their lives, and I was helping them build businesses. And a couple of them got more successful than me. And I was like, wait a second. It's like they're making more than me and working half as much. And I was like, something's wrong. So that's when I made the full transition into helping other people build online businesses. And then a couple of years ago, I was like the matrix came together, and I realized that what LinkedIn really was, which is a machine. It's a business machine. And so I sunk everything I had into LinkedIn. And that's how I grew to about 140 or 150 something thousand followers now. And but I do it. It's a lot of work to do. But it comes from building your brand, from displaying your knowledge, providing value, building trust and relationships. It's relationship building. It's not a quick fix, but I show people how to do that and also to set up your system.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for sharing this. Having done it yourself, what advice would you give to someone starting a business, especially those who are starting business without technical or business background?
Well, I will go back to what I was saying earlier. The number one thing is to build an audience first. Now, there's different types of businesses. So it depends. There's different business models, 100%. Like if you're, there's e-commerce business models, there's affiliate marketing. There's so many different types of business, online business models. So if we're talking, my expertise is online business models. I can go in and I've done consulting work with other startups and types of businesses, but my sweet spot is online business. And even outside with startups and other things, it's still the same thing. Build your personal brand as big as possible, because that is where you're going to get all of the top of your funnel comes from the internet now. One of my biggest objections people say to me all the time is my business is based on referrals. Well, referrals are online now. I mean, people trust the internet more than their own mother. Think about that. If your mother, I hope your mom's okay, but even if your mother was like, go eat at that restaurant, what's the first thing you do? You look online. You look and be like, do they have a good rating? Like, where am I going to go spend my $100? I want to make sure that it's good. Like, I'm not going to waste my 3 hours and my $100. So even if my mother tells me to go to that restaurant, I'm still going to look them up. So I would sink 90% of my efforts into building your personal brand. And then once you have your brand, like, think about this. Serena Williams. Why can Serena Williams start a perfume brand and a clothing line? Why can she do that? Because she has attention, right? Ronaldo, he could do anything he wants. He's going to make $1 billion because he has attention. So the real purpose of social media, it gives us the same opportunity to build attention. And once you have attention, then you can sell stuff, right? And so what I say is, to answer your question, build as much attention as possible. And then you can go in any direction you want. Like, I have about 6 or 7 different streams of income, and I didn't plan on any of that or most of it 3 years ago. I was just like, let's build this LinkedIn thing up. And then it started to make more sense and more sense. And then this happened. Now I have a media company. I have my blogging. I have my newsletter. I have my LinkedIn coaching and groups that I have. I do sponsorships. I get sponsored for different things. And so you never know where it's going to go, but it needs to be your first step. If you're looking at a sales funnel, on the top of the funnel, there's like people. And if you don't have people on top of your funnel, you don't have a business.
Dennis, it's amazing to hear those 7 revenue streams and at least 4 businesses and everything that you're doing. And the question that just is burning on my lips is, how do you manage that? Have you heard that actually at least 1 out of 3 CEOs actually has experienced a burnout? People just break down because of the responsibility and having to take very quick decisions and in your experience, how do you stay motivated and healthy and innovative, especially when you are scaling multiple ventures?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to answer it. Well, I'm going to start first of all with, I've been extremely burnt out. I love Tim Ferriss, but there's no 4-hour work weeks. People like to interpret those types of things because we like to hear good news about our bad habits, right? So we want to hear something like that and be like, oh, I can do that. But there are no 4-hour work weeks. Not if you want to do like what I'm doing. But there's 2 other pieces. I'll answer that question in 2 ways. The first most important thing is to delegate. You have to learn how to delegate. And there's affordable ways to do all of that. Like, one of my coaches and mentors, he is the fastest growing account on LinkedIn. And something he told me that I wish I learned way earlier, we started with almost immediately. He's like, get somebody to handle your LinkedIn as soon as possible. Like this week. Because most people think the idea of LinkedIn is to do LinkedIn. It's not. It's to generate activity to get people into your business. That's the idea of LinkedIn. It's to fill the top of our funnel and build our personal brand. So delegate as much as possible. That is one way to help with burnout. And the other way is, I'm just going to use what Steve Jobs said in an interview like 30 years ago that I have memorized, because it was the best thing that really I connected with, and that I have to keep on top of my brain almost every day. And I don't know where the interview was from, maybe like Oprah or some show he was on. And he was right next to Bill Gates at the time. And you can see this interview. It's on YouTube. Maybe you did see it. But he goes, people say you need to be passionate about what you're doing. And it's so true. And the reason is that it's so hard. It's so hard that if you're not passionate about it, you're going to quit. And that's the difference between those who've made it, or quote unquote, are successful in the eyes of society, and those who aren't. It's because the ones that made it, they loved what they did. So that's why we always start with, ikigai is a popular thing now. Ikigai, it's like the intersection of like, what am I good at? What does the world need? What do I love to do? And what can I make money doing? So if you can get in that intersection right there and do that, that's what helps you get through burnout, because it's hard. There's days that I've cried. Probably it was like maybe this time last year, or it was around that time. I started crying one day to my fiance, and I was so tired.
Yes.
It's not easy. It's not for everybody. My mother worked for the same lawyer for 33 years. She just was like a paralegal, right? And she worked for like 33 years. She loved putting on her clothes in the morning, drinking her coffee, getting in the car, sitting in traffic, listening to the morning show, working, getting a paycheck, having insurance, going to lunch at 12 o'clock. That she liked that lifestyle. And if you like getting a paycheck, a regular paycheck, and doing all these things, like I always talk entrepreneur up because it's what I do for a living. So I make money off of people that want to be entrepreneurs because I show them how to do it. But it's not for everybody. If you want a steady paycheck, and now it's not even there's no job security, there's none of that stuff anymore. But if you want a steady paycheck and insurance and what they call security, the entrepreneurship offers none of that. You can work really hard on something for 3 or 5 years with absolutely no guarantee that you'll make any money.
Yes.
So to answer your question, love what you do, and then while you're doing it, find good people. I don't know how to do everything. I am not a technical guy. I hire amazing people to do those things for me.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing this. Another question to you, Dennis, is a lot of companies say that they are unable to scale because that requires so many deep changes in their organization that it is difficult for them to do that while maintaining profitability. Tell me about it, please.
Yeah, I mean, there's risk, of course, but it's like rolling things out. I think the same rules apply for scaling as they do for starting, right? So when you're starting, you're lean, you have to stay lean. If you're whatever it is you want to scale, we always scale smartly and slowly, and whatever that means. It's different for everybody, but that you roll out MVP, that's another term I'm not supposed to use, but a minimal viable product, right? So it's don't sink $1 million into anything. And for most people, you're probably more solopreneurs, but I mean, don't spend $10,000, which is to a solopreneur is a ton of money. Don't spend $10,000 making a digital course and 6 months making a digital course that you're not even sure people need. Like, there's ways to figure out if your course is actually going to sell. So there's some work that you need to do on the front end. And again, hire people to help you figure that out if it's actually going to sell. You want to test it to a small group of people, and then if it goes well, then put some more money into it, and then test it to a bigger group of people, and then improve it, and then roll it out slowly, just the same way as you did when you were starting the business. And again, hire people, because if you don't know how to do something, a great example is like, nowadays, like if you'll see like my visuals that I use, they're really nice, and they need to be, And the reason is because, really 3 years ago, you just had to have a visual and some writing, like some decent writing. But there's so much competition now. You need to have great visuals so that you can tell the people that are making the visuals themselves, or you can get on Upwork and find somebody to make you an amazing visual, because that's what they do for a living. And they could
Yes.
probably do it in 5 or 10 minutes or maybe a half an hour. Whereas it's going to take me 4 hours to make this thing. And let's just say if I make $100 an hour, if your goal is to make $100,000 a year, and you're working 40 hours a week, that's $50 an hour. So for you to work 4 hours on making this meme, and when you're done, it looks like an amateur made it, and that costs you $200. Or you could pay somebody $10 or $20 to make you a nice one in 15 minutes, and then you could spend that 4 hours generating money with something you're good at, like setting up more meetings.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's great. Dennis, talking about personal branding, you started by talking about the importance of business branding and how this is everything on LinkedIn. A lot of people today do significant, massive mistakes when it comes to personal branding. Take the example, for example, of somebody reacting in a very unfair way or in a very reactive way, for example, to some hate or something on social media, and all the consequences of this for their image and for the image of their company. My question to you, Dennis, is the following. I see a lot of humongous mistakes. Starts with very bad or very unoptimized profiles on LinkedIn, and it goes to personal posts and stuff that people publish. In your opinion and your experience, what are the most significant or the biggest mistakes that you see entrepreneurs do when it comes to their personal branding?
A couple are going big too early. The biggest one is always trying to sell too much, too fast, without providing any type of value or having real credibility in anything. The first thing has to be trust. It's provide value and build trust. Like, I saw there's somebody here in my group. You'll see, and you can ask her if Ligia is here, but I saw her name pop up here. But you'll see, I ran groups where I just gave away all my stuff for free for over a year. Yeah, there's Ligia. So I've given a lot away, and providing that type of value is what's helped me build relationships. I didn't lose any money by doing that, and people hold too tightly, I think, to the fact that they need to make money, and so people can smell that. You can see it.
Yes.
And so the best way to build a personal brand is to provide as much value as possible up front and build relationships, not talk about how much you know or how awesome you are or all of your achievements. Just say, I learned this. How can I help you? That's the best way to build. And I think people have the wrong impression of what a personal brand is. And it's not to put up a post and sell stuff. It's to put up a post and help people get where they want to go. Warren Buffett said that. It's like the best way to get where you want to go is to help other people get where they need to go.
Yes, absolutely. So that's one mistake. Give me two more.
I would say to be too contrarian too early. I think it's important to be polarizing. I think it's important to share your beliefs, and it goes back to, like I said, when you're being yourself, not everybody's going to like you, but the right people are going to love you. I have 100,000 followers, but they're not 100,000 customers. There's a bunch of people I don't know, maybe our values don't align with, and stuff like that. So just be yourself is the ultimate thing to do, because you're going to attract an army of people that'll fight for you and with you. So being yourself is the best thing. Not being yourself is a huge mistake. Let me see. So
first one, you said don't oversell. Don't be too pushy on selling. Second, be yourself.
The next one is be polarizing, but not like there's a way to do it tactfully and to be contrarian. But I see a lot of people, especially kids, they're regurgitating a lot of like Justin Welsh's stuff or a lot of Alex Hormozy stuff or something. They're trying to be them, and they're them. Like they're being themselves, and that's why they have their army fighting for them. So you have all these kids on there dropping F-bombs and trying to talk like Alex Hormozy, but it's like all they're doing is pushing people away. So if you're being inauthentic, that's the biggest mistake. And trying to sell too early. And I mean, those are the two big ones right there. I would say don't do all this spamming outreach stuff. I think that's another thing. People realize that LinkedIn is the best professional network on the planet. It's the best place. I mean, all the social media networks have their value. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear about them. I mean, people are like, Facebook is dead. Facebook is not dead. There's 3.5 billion monthly users on Facebook. Yes. It's not dead. It's very, very alive, but you can't target people. It has an older demographic. I mean, you have to go where your people are. Yes. And so there's not a lot of musicians on LinkedIn. They're on Instagram because that's where their audience is. But for us, professional people, we're on LinkedIn because you could target people. So I could build relationships with entrepreneurs and wantrepreneurs and solopreneurs, and I could actually reach out and target them, coaches, consultants, CEOs, whoever, people that want to leave their jobs. I could target them on LinkedIn. You can't do that anywhere else. But the mistake is you don't want to target those people too early and then try to sell your crap. What you can do is go and engage with their posts. You can have a list of people and go and gradually build relationships over the course of 6 months, and then put out great content yourself and let them come to you. That's really good sales. It's all about the long game, always.
Absolutely. Do you see the question that Ligia actually has put to you? Do you think one mistake is only caring about selling and not caring about real connections with others?
That's kind of what I was just talking about. It's like, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I have people every day in my inbox. They come in, I could probably show you a message. They have like 1,000 followers and they tell me how they're going to fix my personal brand and set up my business to be successful. And it's like, did you even look at who I am, right? Not that I'm like anybody special. I'm just saying, like, do your homework, build relationships.
Yes.
And then let them come to you.
Yes.
I need more. I will tell you, now that I've been spending the time building this, it's really all about setting systems up properly. It's about setting up your systems, your workflows, and they need to be seamless and simple. And simple is really hard. It's really hard to put simple systems in place that run smoothly, which is why most people fail. I've had more business in the last month from inbound because I have my system set up. Then I have one person on my team. All he does is outreach between emails and LinkedIn and other channels. All he does is outreach all month long. And I got more business in the last 2 weeks from inbound leads than I did from all of his effort the last couple months doing outreach. And that comes from spending a couple years building relationships and setting up the systems.
Yes, absolutely amazing. Dennis, how has the role of LinkedIn evolved for you, both as a platform for branding and as a business growth tool?
How has it evolved for me?
Yeah.
Is that what
yes. How has the role of LinkedIn evolved for you as both a platform and a business growth tool?
Yeah, like I said, it's all about the personal brand. And I didn't plan on LinkedIn is very smart. The truth is, all you really need outside of LinkedIn is a payment gateway, a way to accept payments. LinkedIn, if you actually dive into LinkedIn, it could be your whole business. It's set up like a sales funnel. And most people don't understand that, which is why I have a job. And so I help people set up your sales funnel. And once you set your funnel up, the idea is this is the system, right? It's like you write a post, and the idea of a post isn't to sell anything. It's to get people to check you out. It's to inform and educate and entertain or inspire people. And if they are informed, educated, or entertained or inspired, they go, who's this Dennis guy? So they check out my profile. And if I have everything in alignment on my profile, maybe they'll sign up for my newsletter or my website or set up an appointment.
Yes.
And now they're in my funnel, right? And now I can do any number of things with them. And it all started with building my brand on LinkedIn. So it's evolved. Like I told you a half hour ago, I didn't start on LinkedIn going, I'm going to have 7 streams of income and 100,000 followers, and I'm going to have this business and a media company. Like it just evolves. Actually, every day it evolves. I'm like, I could do that. Like I just started thinking, there's this one thing that I've been outsourcing, or that because I didn't realize, this was one of my mistakes that I've been doing for a while. It took me over a year to realize that I could build the whole system that I'm outsourcing myself for half the price, and double. I can make back double on that by offering it as a service that I provide instead of me outsourcing it. And all because I can do that now because I have the engagement and the activity.
Yes.
So get the engagement and the activity, and then just kind of go with the flow. Especially if you're in your 20s or your early 30s or 30s even, it's like, just enjoy the ride. Like, get on there, start targeting some people that are your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Define who that is. When you ask me, like, it's so important. I always start my clients with, like, answer this question: what do you do? And they're like, well, 20 years ago I went to this college and then I worked in a restaurant. And I'm like, they're gone. What do you do? Right? You have 10 seconds to make an impact. It's an elevator pitch. That means that you have 30 seconds to get to the next floor. You have to make an impact in that time. So I help early stage entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and wantrepreneurs optimize and monetize LinkedIn and your business without wasting more time or money. That's what I do. So if you can't answer that question, you're really going to struggle. But once you answer it, you can go in so many different directions.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
Absolutely. Dennis, it was an amazing discussion. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. And if there is a wish on our side, that we would love to have you again here on this show.
Sure, I would love that. It's great chatting with you. I always love talking on these shows.
Thank you very much, Dennis. It was really amazing. Thank you. And I wish you an excellent evening.
Thank you, Mark. You too. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Bye-bye.